Welcome to the Human First podcast with me, Adrian Murphy. I am here with Ross Geddes of Finnieston Clothing today. How are you doing, Ross?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. So for those of you who don't know, we're here just to have really great conversations. We want to hear your story about the business, what you do, why you do it, which we always think is really important. And then any inspirations, aspirations, and also there's we always talk about this kind of intersection between money, you know, your career, your family, your health. How do you kind of manage those relationships? Because we all know, you know, running a business is hard at times. So just getting that balance. So we can get into some of that, but maybe just first of all, give us a wee bit of the background to the business and yourself.
Yeah, I kind of, from the ages of kind of about 18 to, I don't know, I would say maybe my early 30s, I was a bit of a free spirit and went away travelling and did all that stuff. And then kind of, I think there's a lot of people that, you know, they don't necessarily talk about that kind of dark side of that kind of gallivanting where you come back from that kind of thing and you're just like, all right, what am I going to do in my life? So I dotted around a few different jobs, and then my family own also outdoor clothing stores. So I ended up going into their business with my sister, and we opened up one of their shops on Byers Road, which was CCW Clothing, which is now Greg's.
Yes, I do know the old shop, but it's like
we can get into that later.
Yeah, sure.
It was. I kind of went into their business and was working in retail, and then being part of the buying team for them as well.
Right,
so they have another few stores in Scotland as well. So was going around and doing a lot of kind of seeing other people's collections, and then because like the retail and in particular the fashion industry is very compromised at this moment in time from the point of view of, you know, my parents' businesses sell a bunch of other people's brands. So let's just say Barber, for example. Somebody can walk into their shop and go, you know what, I really like this jacket, but I'm going to think about it, and then go and get it for £50 cheaper online later. So I think that's where my parents were just like, right, okay, we kind of need to have our own kind of point of difference here. So they were just like, right, I think we need our own clothing brand. And then it was just kind of just like, at that moment in my life, I was probably seeking purpose and meaning. That's what I was kind of just like, do you know what, I'll do that. And so that kind of from about 2018 to 2020, we brought out like a collection of clothing. So we did, which was Finnieston, which I would say very much looked like a CCW own brand to begin with. And then it was kind of, you know, it was like there was gents clothing, ladies clothing, and like a massive collection because my mum and dad wanted more of their own products in their shops. And we kind of, like, you know, for me, I look back at what I did in that first collection, I was just like, I don't think with what I know now, I would even do that now. You know, from the point of view of what I took on. It just about killed me. But I obviously learned how to create jackets, and, you know, working within, you know, the fashion industry a few years within my parents' business and seeing what other brands are doing, I was kind of just like, okay, right, let's try and make this a brand, because if we make this a brand, you know, which is our brand, which we, you know, lives without the realms without CCW, and it does really, really well, CCW can still benefit from that, and it can still have exclusivity within the shops as well. Obviously not with the other shop opening up a few doors down from it in Byers Road, but and that's where, you know, we kind of 2020 got the brand kind of relaunched, and you know, I was originally I'm from Glasgow, and you know, I was trying to create a Glaswegian heritage brand. I think when it comes to Scottish heritage, it's very easy to go down the kind of Tweedy tartan route. Like, how is it we stay away from that? And, you know, I'm very fortunate to have a family friend called Ian Johnston, who's a Clydeside historian and author as well. Spent many a day in this guy's loft with him, just going through all these incredible archives and imagery. And then that's, for me, I was just like, I really think there's something untapped here. And from the point of view of you can't go too all in on that kind of stuff, which is, you know, people end up looking like chimney sweepers. But it's trying to pick those, you know, the graphics from the old shipyard T-shirts, and also the took a lot of inspiration from the geometrical shapes that ships were painted during the First World War, and this dazzle camouflage, and going, okay, how is it we, incorporate this into a Glaswegian heritage brand? So that's essentially what we started to do, and my always, even when we first did Finnieston as the kind of CCW own brand and as the brand as it is now, I've always had a very strong emphasis on trying to do things the best way possible from a manufacturing point of view.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to compete with people that are making things cheap. And I think there's enough cheap shit, sorry for my language, out there, where it's just like, do you know what, let's try and be the antithesis to that and try and support as many local mills as we can, local manufacturer, and I think for me as a brand, that automatically took me away from that wholesale option.
Yeah.
Whereas, that margin that you're looking for in order to wholesale things, it was kind of just like, my supply chain doesn't fit into that, or if it did, it would mean me selling things at an even more expensive price than it is just now. People already think I'm expensive, so it's So and it's and that's the thing is, over the last 3 to 4 years, it has been just a massive learning process of really not knowing anything. I didn't know a thing. So obviously it's just making a load of mistakes and just learning from them. And it's pushed me to the brink of, a bit of a mental health crisis. It's done all this stuff, but I think coming out the other end of it all, I'm now at a stage in my life now where I really understand who I am and what I want to do and how I want to use the business as well in order to create a positive impact and an influence on the world as well.
Fantastic. Can you touch back on that? I think it's a really important point. We often talk about like mistakes and stuff people make. Is there anything that stands out? And maybe if we can come back to the kind of mental health thing for a minute as well. So what was some of the bigger mistakes that you made, or the ones that stick out in your mind?
Do you know what the thing is? It's just like the thing is with doing collections of clothing, right? You do a spring-summer collection, you do an autumn-winter collection, right? You do a spring-summer collection and you realise where you did wrong, or, for example, I'm not going to do a red overshirt again because nobody bought that, right? And you'll never do that again, right? Okay? But then it's just that you don't, it's like another year until you can really start to evaluate and redo it and then get that feedback and that evolution of what you're looking for. It's not like a cook that can go and bake a cake and somebody goes, that tastes like shit, change it, and you can run back to the kitchen and keep changing things over. You've got, it's this, and that's the thing is, it's just such a slow, it's frustratingly slow.
Can you say that sounds frustrating?
How, because you do a collection of clothing, and that's the thing is, I've already done my autumn-winter collection, I'm not even halfway through selling it, and I can already see where I've gone wrong and where I've gone right. And it's usually little things, maybe fit issues or, change the buttons on that. I personally wouldn't say I've made any massive blunders, In fact, there is actually. There is. Go on. It was attempting to do a ladies' wear collection.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, it's just like you do like the menswear stuff and you get all these ladies going, when are you going to do some ladies' stuff?
Yep.
And then you do ladies' stuff. And I don't know, like, from somebody that's learning how to do menswear. Do you know what I mean? And you're just like, all right, okay, I'm going to start to do some.
So you've limited experience of ladies' wear.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, I gave it a good crack, and I think I did all right. But there was obviously things in there as well where it was fit issues. I think the biggest thing that I probably came across is, there's certain pieces where there's maybe been fit issues or, and that the problem is they arrive and people start to try them on and you start to go, that's maybe not quite right. But the problem is because this is where it's just like most brands will be like years ahead of themselves where they've got this such long product development time. I'm very much like, flying by the seat of my pants where it's just like things are just like, right, okay, the samples are turning up and I've maybe got like a couple of days to critique it before then they actually just manufacture the bulk. So that's where I've constantly been playing catch up on myself, and due to like things like COVID and all this stuff is that there's been so many delays.
Of course.
And that's the thing is I've had like parkas and vests turn up end of February. And the thing is as well, people go, oh, that's a great time of year, it's really cold. And it's just like, no, everybody's bought their jacket then. Do you know? And the world's in the sale.
Yeah.
And then maybe you know, people are starting to maybe bring out their spring summer collections. I've had like, you know, summer jackets turn up in August, and that's the thing is, it's just like you get all excited because you've got this new clothing in, and then it's just like you spend all this money on content, and then you know, put it all into Facebook and Instagram, spend a shitload of money, and it just goes up because it's at the wrong time of the year.
That's tough.
And that's cash that's tied up in this stuff. And that's the thing is that also then, because of this cash flow as well, is that really halters your product development and design because so it's just this constant catch up that I've been doing. But I'm nearly at that stage now where it's just like I'm starting to give myself that appropriate time in order to really get products right. The stories are always great. The manufacturer's always fantastic. But I just think there's always just been these kind of little niggles like that where I'm just learning from.
How's Finnieston going?
How's Finnieston going? It's always a challenge, and that's the thing is, it's like as a business we are growing. We've got 2 shops, and basically, you know, last year I was kind of in this position where I was just like, okay, I want to grow the brand. You know, we're seeing good signs here. It's just like, and as a direct to consumer brand, it's not a wholesale brand. I have to go out and acquire my own customers. So it's like, okay, I either go onto Facebook and Instagram and put a lot more money and budget into that, or I open up a shop and try and, you know, local press and try and, you know, obviously, you know, keep it local and try and enrich an area. And like Sean's shop's a new shop. What I would say about Sean's as an area is that Friday, Saturday, Sunday it's fine. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it can sometimes be quite quiet as a shop. And my business, what I would say at this moment in time is growing, but it's more on the online side of things.
Right, okay.
Where I find bricks and mortar, don't get me wrong, like I think opening up the Shawlin shop in such a small area, like, you know, we've got Byers Road there, it's naturally going to cannibalise the other one for a little bit. But frustratingly, all of the signs that I'm going showing to as a business is telling me to make shit and go online. And that's the problem where and for me, that's why what we've done with Finnieston's is we've tried to do a price transparency where we tell people how much things cost to get made. You know, because I think it's so easy for people to walk past that shop and go, he's at it. Do you know what I mean? It's just
that's a markup.
Especially, No, and especially in Shawlands as well. It's just like, you know, I've had so many guys at the windows, and you can see them just going fuck like that. And I want to jump out and grab them and talk to them. And I'm just like, what? Because that's what I've done a couple of times. And I'm just like, you know, like, what is your perceptions here? Like, because you feel this certain way for a reason, and going, he was, that's ridiculous, that price for that. And I was just like, that cost me £50 to make. You know, and then the guy just looked at me and went, have you seen the price of the shops and all that stuff? I was just like, look, you're already angry. You're not. My shirt's just tipped you over the edge.
There's something else going on here.
I do feel like, you know, and this is where it's just like I'll keep trying to fight the good fight and make good quality clothing and have a bricks and mortar shop and stuff like that as well. But I'll be open and honest here, it's hard. And that's the thing is, there's less and less people out there with money in their pocket, right? And that's the thing is as well, it's just like, you know, once, you know, and it's not just people with money in their pocket, it's uncertain times as well. There's a lot of political uncertainty. The world's like a meth lab at the moment where and people genuinely just go like, wow, do you know what? Maybe I don't need a £335 jacket this winter. I'll hold on just in case. And that's the honest truth of it.
It's self-fulfilling then. That's a vicious cycle, just down and down and down when we start behaving like that.
And so for me, it's just like as a brand, it's just like I'm going to keep making good quality clothing. You know, I've got so much stuff this winter that's made in Scotland. You know, like this cardigan, this yellow cardigan that I've been wearing. It is made in Stewarton. And it's made from 100% wool. Try and use as many natural products as I can as well. We've done an apparel story this year as well, where my grandpa, he's a sheep farmer in Eaglesham, and he's 92 and a half, and we have sheared his sheep and we got them put into insulation and jackets. So we did and jackets all made in the UK, you know, material comes from Dundee, all this stuff, and you know, it's like the most wholesome apparel story. I can't try any harder.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
you really are flying the flag.
Other than put my own grandpa's hair in it. Do you know? Like, it's, I can't.
Quite a thin jacket, I suspect.
The one jacket.
Yeah, one jacket.
Heaved in, so it is. So,
yeah, good for that
20 grand.
Yeah.
He's not got long left, come on. But that's what I mean is I'm trying, and that's the thing is as well, is that the content that I put in and around that was, there was nutrition in that. You know, where this guy's, eating a lot of his own food, his own life. He's got up and worked every day. He's moved. He's always had that purpose. And for me, it's just like, okay, how is it I can try and weave in this, subliminally kind of health marketing through my content as well, where it's not just trying to sell the jacket, it's trying to get people to, there's a bit more depth to it from the point of view of going, that's a really nice story and making people feel good, because there's so much sociopathic nonsense out there where it's trying to do that. But as unfortunately, it's just like I do feel like with social media and the algorithms and stuff like that, is a challenge to
get a good story out there.
That's what I mean is as I said, that's what I said to the guys outside. I was just like, I did all this content and this beautiful documentary for this show, and I was just like, if I'd walked into my shop in Shawlands and videoed me trying to eat like as many Greggs sausage rolls as I could eat in the one sitting and filmed it, right? It probably would have got more views.
Viral.
Do you know what I mean? Where I really feel like you're fighting against this, and this is what drives me at the same time though, is that you're fighting against this grain of quite an unwell society. Where we are like so drawn towards more toxic content. Even me. I'm not like, I know that. I sit there and I'm just like, why am I watching this? Why have I not put this
I am.
Why have I not put this off yet? Do you know what I mean? It's just like sitting on your phone at night and it's just like, oh my God, I've just sat for 15 minutes watching like a bunch of Indian guys build an underground swimming pool. Like, do you know what I mean? You're just like, what's going on?
It's not a good use of your time, really, is it?
No. So I was trying to work out how you can get people's attention in the right way.
That's what I was wondering. It's like, how do you best get that? What is a fantastic story, local brand, your inspiration comes from the history, which I love, the fact that kind of industrial background of Glasgow inspired the brand. I love that, and we should have more brands like that with a story. It's the good relation between us, I suppose, the charity and the heritage is purpose. There was we were the best in the world at what we did. We were. And they were men of purpose. And that's the thing is, for me it was just like, I can't represent an industry like that and make shit. I need to. That's where for me it's just like there might have been some fit issues over the years, or maybe a red overshot that I shouldn't have done. But like, as long as I've still got any of them, I'll take one off. 500 of them. Yes, that's right. So, and that's where it's making sure that that's represented in the right way, and also like with all of our shipyard T-shirts that we've done over the years as well. So 5% of all those T-shirts have all gone to action in asbestos as well. Right. Where we realise that not everybody looks upon that industry with fond memories. It's tough. And it was so it's us acknowledging that as well. So we try and give back to like local asbestos charities as well. Brilliant. And how does that then, which is fantastic, and it's all, you're doing all the right things for the right reason. I always think like if you do the right things for the right reasons and you do them well, generally it'll work out fine for you. Mm-hmm. So within all of that, what's kind of in this for you personally, your family, because there's still a fundamental requirement to make money. It's it's great to have a kind of broader vision, but you do have to. There's some fundamentals there that are reasonably important. So how does this all start to play out for you, do you think? The thing is as well, it's just like the business is growing. And that's where it is. For me, it's just like I personally like winning the lottery would be in a job where I can have a half decent salary, right? Paid well. Yeah. Because I think people should be paid well for doing good things. Yeah. Because that makes other people maybe want to do that as well. Yeah. And that's another thing that drives me as well, is wanting to succeed in what I'm doing, is that, it's showing other people that,
we can do things like this, and making other people want to do that as well. And it's, for me, winning the lottery would just be being able to get that decent salary and in a job where I'm making a difference and being creative. And I hope that's with my brand.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I hope that is with my brand. I hope it's with my charity as well. Do you know what I mean? And this is where, like, for me, it's just like, I think it's you can often be in an extremely delicate situation if you're doing things for all the wrong reasons. Whereas, I was before. Whereas if you're there, and it's all for that reason of, ego, or the other reasons of wanting to just prove to people you can, whereas for me, it's just like, right, okay, I'm like, my business is doing fine. But what I mean is that if it was not to work, I'll put my energy into something else and that's like, my business isn't the full representation of me.
No.
And that's the thing is as well, it's just like I've had certain people approach me with mental health issues over the past, and it's about a guy, and he's a successful building owner, he's builds building company, and his business nearly went down, but it was fine. It was just a couple of business decisions that just went wrong. But he couldn't get out of that toxic loop that he was in, of the thought of that all going down. And that's what he asked me. He says, what is wrong with me, Ross? What is actually happening here? And I was just like, your entire self-worth and identity is wrapped up in that object that could fall down at any time. Yeah. And it's about trying to attach yourself to other entities and other things and other meanings within your life to sit there and go, well, I've got all this other shit going on as well. And I think for me, it's just like, my only concern with the business is that I just want to, and this is what I struggle with, I still struggle with, is being present with my family at times. Yeah. Where, you've had a hard day at work, and it's things in your mind, or you never know when you're getting these creative bursts as well, where all of a sudden you're sitting there at the kitchen table, and you're just sitting there like that, and my partner just goes like that, like, you're away again, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I have ADHD, and it's one of these things where it's just like, I can hyperfixate on things where you can just sometimes just get lost. And I know, and this is what breaks my heart sometimes, I've even had my daughter say, oh, Daddy's got his bored eyes on again. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's noticing these things and picking up on them, and it's just like trying to give her everything I can when I'm around her, but it's sometimes, running a business and doing all this stuff, and especially trying to do the right things, which isn't easy, is consuming. Yes. And it can consume me. Yeah. And especially when you're doing purposeful things as well, it's just like actually not just putting your business down, but it's also putting that purpose down and forgetting all that and being at home and trying to just be present for your family, which is something I'm trying to learn to do as well and trying to get better at.
Do you have any, triggers or tools that help you do that? Because that is, I think we all probably, those, who in business, we're all living these, as we talked here, the fast-paced lives, and everything's going on at the one time. How do you or maybe you don't yet, how do you put that down and
that hour in the morning that I was telling you about? So it's like, having that 15 minutes to actually just sit there and think about everything that you want to think, because I have that brain that as soon as I wake up, it just gets into that kind of mode of just going like, where it just kicks off again. And having that time, having my phone in a different room from me is a definite, I'm coming in at night and putting my phone in another room. And doing that is such a big thing, which is just not having it around me. That's it's the phone that really
it is. Honestly, you take that away.
It starts to make noises. Like as soon as it starts to make noises, you're just, and that's the thing is as well. It's just like I don't know. It's just kids are simple. All they want is just you. Yeah. And that's what it's just knowing that, especially at a young age, is if you have kids between like 1 and 3, is this like if you can give them as much of you as possible, if I've maybe had a really hard day, it's just that last 10% that you've got, it's just like, right, it's going all into her. Yeah. And then you get down to the sofa and your partner looks at you like this.
Do you want to talk? No. And it is, again, you've got to find a way to do that. And I believe that being intentional about everything you do is so important. You've talked about even eating, being intent. Don't just eat just like you pick up a bit of rubbish, you just eat it. Like, be intentional about it, or make sure once a day you're having a proper home cooked meal from real food ingredients. And even like conversations with your partner. We talk about, because my job's very much involved with money, although it's the human side of money we try and focus on. But even just like saying to your partner, like, let's, rather than having a conversation about something which is a really difficult subject, let's set aside a time, a date night, money date night, whatever you want to do. Let's go out with the intention of having that conversation, take all the emotion out of it, get out the house, all that type of thing. So you can't, because just trying to do that stuff on the hoof when you're getting a million other things going on, I think,
I mean, I don't know about you, because I'm not a Monday to Friday guy either,
of course,
and that's the thing is, it's like, and I think it's really trying to, I'll work 2 days a week in the shops. I've rotated on 2 days a week when I'm in the shops. And then out with that, I kind of float, do meetings, maybe work from home a little bit. But then it's noticing those days where you can go, you don't need to work for the rest of today. And I think when things are hard, do you know what I mean? Or, you're starting there going, it's very easy just to sit there and go, you know what, right, okay, I need to think about how to get things better. And think about this stuff, where I think for me, it's trying to go, like, I could be working at 11 o'clock at night in my bed. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing is, my partner can sit there and go, I can hear your brain. You know what I mean? The foot's going like this. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I can hear your brain, and it's like, that's working. And I think we're in this different world now where you need to look at going, right, okay, let's take the afternoon off and just go and do something. And I think getting out of the house and planning things is massive. Planning days, planning nights, where you can do things, because if you don't, you just get lost in just everything.
I think, again, it's about kind of broader purpose outside of work, because you're right, if that's your sole, if that's all you've got and you don't have anything else, like, this is something we talk about all the time, especially when people are coming up to, I don't know, like, exit their business. Maybe not, we don't like talking about retirement, because nobody really retires. You go and do something else. But the problem is, if an opportunity comes along, and it doesn't matter how much money is involved, if you don't have anything else, you don't have that purpose. So doing that, and you can't just pick it up then, right? I'll wait and then I'll do it. It's better to integrate that into your life now and have these things. I do my cycling and running and all that stuff, and that created a really good space for me where I didn't think about anything so I stopped working because I'm on the bike and I'm trying not to get run over, and just enjoying the scenery and all that stuff. And I'd come off the bike and go, I haven't thought about anything for 2-3 hours. That's fantastic.
Oh,
so you need that.
Get those moments. Like I still play football, and I get that from football. You'll be in that. You're not, when you're playing football, you're not thinking about jackets.
No.
Do you know what I mean? No. So, or like manufacturing issues or issues or anything like that. Like, and that's when I think it's that flow state. That
that's exactly right.
Where if you can find things that you can get into that flow state and enjoy, and as I said, it's just like it's just like just trying to find that peace within your own home. Make sure that is a happy home and a peaceful home, and that everybody's happy. I think that's half the battle, and enjoying that is such a big thing. The rest of the other stuff's fireworks.
Is there one thing that you think is kind of most important in your life right now that has changed over the years? So what's become the most important thing in your life right now?
I would say that, and this is something that helps with relationships, helps with fatherhood, it helps with business. And I think it's this mantra that I have, which is like, everything's happening for you, not to you. And that's the thing is, it's just like, when things were bad and all these things were going wrong, like, and I was in this mentality of like, why me? Do you know what I mean? And it's just, and I honestly, and this might be a bit woo-woo, but like, I feel like, if you're a human being and that you are embodying that, like, you just, like, if you are negative, you just draw negativity to you. And where I think is, even if looking at things going wrong and going, right, okay, where's the learning here? What's this for me here? Do you know what I mean? And that's what the thing is as well, is it just like it pulls you out of that victim mindset, regardless of what's happening, because stuff's always going to go wrong at home. Stuff's always going to go wrong at work, you know, and it's just like looking at these things, it's just like, okay, where's the learning from this? Where's the growth from this? And leaning into discomfort, you know, and that's where it's just like that kind of just, but the problem is as humans is that we're just taught to avoid that discomfort at any cost.
Yes, run in the opposite direction.
Run in the opposite direction. And for me, it's just like now I'm just like, if there's certain subjects or topics now, I go, oh, why do you feel uncomfortable? Let's look into this then, Ross. Do you know what I mean? And then that's where the growth is. I really see that growth as a person, as a human, where I have like the person to who I was like 5 years ago is completely different.
Yeah.
Me 5 years ago wouldn't have been on this podcast. You wouldn't have had me on, right?
Yeah, I get that.
Right? So,
but it's so healthy though to do. You know, you don't grow if you don't move outside your comfort zone.
Just keep moving.
You have to do that, and then having that curiosity, not to go, oh, that's horrible, I don't like that. Is to go, interesting.
Yeah,
what can I do with this? How can I move through this, past it, learn from it? That's a really healthy way to think. I hope people can kind of pick that up from this, because I think, you know, like, again, one of the things that sometimes I see in my world is lack of resilience.
Yeah.
You know, and ability, not just resilience, but ability to deal with stress and just the general day-to-day life.
Yeah.
You see younger people coming into the business and stuff, and you think, right, okay, they're not necessarily equipped with the skills.
It stresses me out working with young people.
Yeah.
It actually does. Like, it worries me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For the point of view of, and I say this with love in my heart, you know, where it's just like there's not as much resilience there. And we go back in COVID and stuff like that. And I think COVID is a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely a big part of it, isn't it?
There's a big part of that. And I think that's where, you know, your technology and your phones is that we have young people that are like glued to them.
Yeah.
And are massively dysregulated because of that. If you are glued to a phone, you know, 8 hours, 10 hours a day, you're a dysregulated human, whether you like it or not. You can't fix that. You can fix it, but like you're a human being.
Yeah.
That will affect you.
Yeah. And it's even just the ability, we talk about connection, the ability to create human connections, to feel emotions, to be vulnerable, all these things. It's suddenly, there's just this very surface level, that's it, nothing, not up or down, just, it's not good, is it?
No. It's, once again, it's things like this drive me.
Yeah.
Where I'm just sit there and I go, like, you know,
what you're doing.
Like we're all like, just, I don't know. It's just like, for me, just like anybody that has discomfort or, you know, anger around things, it's purely for the reason of, it's not that they're a bad person or they're lazy or anything like that. Is that's a sum total of a lot of different circumstances that have got to that point. And I think instead of focusing on like, oh, people are lazy, people don't want to work, which is, you know, that's, people say that. That's my mum. My mum's a classic example. I'll get into it. Like, don't talk. No. She doesn't like to talk about mental health.
Right.
She doesn't. Yeah. But that's where it's just like, you know, you speak to her and it's just like, nobody wants to work. People are lazy, and it's just like, okay, that is a fact. But like, where's this all coming from?
Yeah. Didn't come from nothing.
Yeah. It's like these boils that are on your body, and just going at the boil and going, where's it all coming from?
Yeah.
And then trying to focus on that rather than the actual issue.
Yeah. So. I think, I'd like to, you know, everybody I think has to try and do more to get to that point with particularly younger people. But I think there's an element of that across the kind of generations, if you like, where everybody's been affected by these issues in some way. So previously had Gemma Stewart of Gut Wealth, who actually probably would have quite enjoyed having a conversation with, given what we've talked about. And we ask everybody to leave a wee question for the next guest. And her question was, what is the one non-negotiable when it comes to your health?
Oh, non-negotiable. On a daily basis, like the non-negotiable thing, I would say at this moment in time, she'll like this, right? It is a pint of lemon water first thing in the morning.
Really?
A pint of lukewarm lemon water. Yeah. Oh. Because that helps detoxify your liver. because that starts the detoxification process. Well, your detoxification process happens during the night, but it helps, it aids that. And I think that's where, a lot of kind of mental health conditions is like, we have a lot of toxicity within our environment. And that's the thing, and our livers can't process it because there's so much more toxins now than there used to be 50 years ago.
Course.
That's the one thing that I do every day.
That's really
is
good.
a pint of lemon water in
I
the
might
morning.
have to add that to my wee morning.
Pint of lemon
one.
water.
There you go, folks. Get a pint of lemon water in the morning. Brilliant, Ross. So I guess for everyone listening, we've had this may not be the conversation that people were expecting. It's been fantastic. Really, really interesting. Again, thank you for that. Is there any last kind of pieces of advice or guidance, anything that somebody said to you or that you've come across yourself that's really helped you?
I don't know. For me, there's just this quote, and I think it's by Rumi, and it's this kind of, guru, which is, there's no such thing as bad people, it's just badly loved people. Which I like to live my life by as well. Where it means you don't really try and see the good in everybody. You know, and understand that person, if they're being an arsehole to you, it's not your fault.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing.
Most of the time.
It's not necessarily.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just
that.
like I like that kind of philosophy and quote as well, where, that's something that I like to kind of live my life by.
Everybody deserves a chance.
100%.
Yeah.
So it is. So, I'd say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I guess what would your question be for our next guest?
My question would be, what does the word purpose mean to you?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Like that as well. Where can people find you? That's the other thing we like to do.
We are we have two shops.
Yes.
One, 305 Byers Road, and the other one in Shawlands, 1092 Pollockshaws Road. Okay. A couple of doors down from Cafe Strange Brew.
Right.
So that's the easiest way to. That's when
Southsiders will know exactly.
That's where most people go to the south side.
Right. Okay.
I feel like they're waiting rooms some days.
Just browsing, waiting for the queue.
It works, all right. And we have a website as well, which is www.finniestonclothing.com, where you can find lots of lovely products that don't look as tatty as this. It's I actually was meant to grab a shirt from the Byers Road shop this morning and not wear this. Yeah. But apologies.
It's nice. It's very distinctive. And you're on Instagram as well?
Yeah, which is Finnieston Clothing on Instagram as well. Ross at Finnieston Clothing as well.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Ross. That was great.
You. Yeah,
thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Cheers.
Thank you.